This is a 2024 Mustang Dark Horse, and this is a 2017 Shelby GT350, and they both cost around $65,000.
And I have $65,000 to spend today, but honestly, these just look like Mustangs.
Well, we're gonna get into why they're not.
My name is Evo.
My name's Aiden, and you're watching Gaudin X.
I've owned 23 more Mustangs than most people, and this is just a red Mustang.
It's not just a red Mustang. I'll explain why. So we all know the Shelby Mustangs out there. They're supposed to be the high-performance versions of the Mustangs out there. So let's talk about what Ford and Shelby did for the GT350. Most Mustangs out there will use something we call the Coyote V8. It's a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, and this is naturally aspirated, but this isn't a Coyote. This is the Voodoo V8. 5.2-liter naturally aspirated flat plane crank V8, revs to 8,250 RPMs, makes 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. It is a monster engine.
So you said Shelby, right? This is a Shelby?
Yes.
So where's the supercharger?
There isn't a supercharger on this one.
So then it's not a Shelby.
Unlike the GT500 from this generation, which has the supercharger and it's also a 5.2-liter, Ford and Shelby went a different direction with this one, choosing to go for a naturally aspirated setup with the flat plane crank for that extra RPM boost that you can get to, and it just sounds phenomenal.
So I'm interested in beating my friend's Challenger Hellcat in a straight line.
And you have $65,000. This will do that. The only difference is this has a 6-speed manual, uses the Tremec TR3160, a 6-speed manual, which was the only option for this car. Now, if you're looking for an automatic, maybe we should talk about the Dark Horse.
Okay. All right, tell me about Papa Smurf here.
Now, this might not be a Smurf, but it is Grabber Blue, which is a beautiful paint color, especially with all the decals Ford has done for the Dark Horse. Now, let's get under the hood and talk about this car. If I can ever find the hood latch, there we go. Now, as you can see, Ford has added actual struts to hold the hood up because we all know how heavy Mustang GT hoods are. But under the hood here, as you can see, we are looking at the Generation 4 Coyote V8. Like I told you before, naturally aspirated, 5 liters of displacement. That is 100 horsepower per liter of displacement under the hood of this car. Now, it doesn't make tons of horsepower less than that one. 500 horsepower, 418 pound-feet of torque. Even 6 years later, the Shelby is still more powerful, but the difference is, and the biggest difference is, we have dual intakes on this one and the 10-speed automatic, which makes this thing a rocket ship when it comes to shifting versus the manual transmission over there. Both of them run about a 12.5-second quarter mile. This one traps at 118. That one will trap around 118 as well. But this one's getting off the line faster. So if you're doing digs with your Scat Pack friend, this is the one you want.
Okay, okay. Now, is this carbon fiber?
We'll call it carbon fiber.
Okay, okay. I do like the setup though. These dual intakes look beautiful.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful compared to the Gen 3 Coyotes. Of course, that was a great engine, but the Generation 4 is beautiful. Now, on the Dark Horse, of course, you have stiffened suspension components, the K-brace across the top, and you have upgraded Ford Performance strut towers that hold on to those wheels and the suspension. It's a great setup they have going on for the Dark Horse.
I've seen GT500s of these ones. So is the Dark Horse, would you say, in your opinion, I guess the GT350 of this generation of the Mustang?
No, so before we had something called the Mach 1, and before that we had the Mustang Bullet. All used the 5-liter V8. The only difference is they were basically a more powerful version, even more powerful than the Mustang GT Performance, which is just a performance package on top of the normal GT. So today's Shelby, of course, we have the GT500. That is basically today's version of the GT350, but this isn't a replacement for the GT350. It sits right under it as the next level against the Mustang GT.
Gotcha. Those are some wide tires in the back.
Absolutely. These are 315 with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, which means they have the perfect grip. And the GT350 is meant for track use. You're not going to get the best straight line performance out of a Mustang in this car, but for the track purposes, this thing's a monster. You also have 305s up front with these 20-inch rims and these Brembo brakes, 15.5-inch rotors up front, 15 in the rear, and they are drilled for that additional cooling. And if we talk about the entire look of this car, I think it's more aggressive looking than the Dark Horse is, and it's a timeless design Ford and Shelby gave to this car. It's beautiful.
Now, my friend and I with the Dodge,
Yeah.
he likes to, you know, go on the track a lot. Do you think I could outperform him with this Mustang?
Well, with the fact that this has improved suspension components to make it stiffer and more track capable compared to a normal Mustang, or even, of course, a boat like a Scat Pack, this is going to destroy your friend's Scat Pack on the track.
Okay, good, good.
Now, onto the side of the Dark Horse. What do you want to know?
So, you know, that one looks very impressive. Big brakes and everything.
Yeah.
Is this one a good track car too, or?
It's good. Let's talk about it compared to a normal Mustang GT, since it's the step up from that. Of
Right.
course, you have improved suspension components up front, and this one even comes standard with Magna-Ride suspension, unlike the normal Mustang GT.
Right.
The problem is this, compared to the GT350 sitting back there, your tires just aren't as wide. You have 275s in the rear, 255s up front. A standard GT gets 255s all the way around, but as for grip and performance, it's not going to be as good as the GT350. On top of that, Ford thinks it is a smart idea to put Pirelli P0s. They used to do Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss on the performance models of the Mustang GT. Now they do the P0s, which are less grippy and just aren't as nice of a tire as the Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss. They're not bad, just not as good as the GT350s. But overall, just like the GT350, it's a good looking car, right? What do you think?
I definitely like it. I think this new generation of the Mustang looks very nice from the side. They very much made it more modern, and I think they kind of brought it into the new world. I do like the Dark Horse badge a lot on the side, and I kind of wish the wheels were a little bit bigger, but
Yeah, 19. Yeah, these are 19.
Yeah, but I do like the fact that it's got the big brake setup, and then of course all you needed really to do is change.
Now
the
they're
tires.
not drilled brakes, but they're very similar sized, a tiny bit smaller. We're talking about 2/10 of an inch smaller up front. So I believe they're 15.3-inch brakes up front. So nothing too tiny, but they are Brembos, of course, which makes them just as nice and high quality as the ones on the GT350.
Right, right. You've been talking a lot about the exhaust of these cars. What does this thing sound like?
Let's take a listen to it.
Wow, no, I've never heard a Mustang
Well,
sound
that's
like
what
that.
happens. We have an 8,250 RPM red line and a flat plane crank. They just sound so amazing. But that doesn't mean that the 5.0 over there sounds bad.
Let me hear it. Okay, honestly, compared to the last generation S550, this sounds a lot louder, and this is a stock exhaust, right?
It is stock.
That's crazy. It sounds really good for a stock car.
100%. Now, on the rear end of this, of course, you have the Shelby badge, and then you have the Dark Horse badge. They removed all the GT badges from this car, especially because this is a GT350, not a normal Mustang GT.
Right.
But you can see, of course, that one looks newer. This is the weird angled tail lights on the back look a little more modern. But back here, let's talk about, of course, they both have the spoilers. This one has a higher angle, improved downforce for that extra track performance. And in fact, that spoiler right there also has a higher angle as well, because it is also improved over the typical Mustang GT performance for better track performance as well. So they are both centered around track, but that doesn't mean that that one's better than this one. It just means that they're both centered around that, and all the upgrades that have been done to that one over the standard GT are just track focused.
Gotcha. Can we, I'm a big stickler for the interior. Can we check those out
Yeah,
too?
let's check out the interior. Now, inside the GT350, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, this looks like a Mustang interior.
It is a Mustang interior, and it's the old Mustang interior. We're in an S550 generation Mustang right now.
Pre-facelift, right?
Pre-facelift.
Wow, so this is modern. I mean, look at that screen. Now, there's only one more thing I have a question about. Can I drive these cars?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Let's get a test drive going. All right. So driving the GT350 first,
Yeah.
we're gonna see how you like all this extra power.
Oh, that's a nice shifter.
It is.
Very short
Not
throwing.
long throws, very short throws.
Wow. No, that sounds great. I need to work on my rev matching, but I do like it a lot. Now, I do want to see what the other one will do. So can we try that one out too?
Yeah, we could try the 5.0 out.
Okay.
All right, inside of the S650 Dark Horse now.
Wow. What are the power figures again? You said 500 horsepower?
500 horsepower, 418 pound-feet of torque. Now, they've also, it's the same chassis as the last generation.
Right.
The driving experiences are going to be too different. The steering, in my opinion, has been tightened up a little bit, so it feels a little more connected than it did last time. Oh my God.
Wow. No, it is.
And the front suspension is also stiffer for track performance and for better handling. So what would you rather be driving, though?
Out of the two?
Yeah.
I think the Shelby.
Yeah.
I think the Shelby.
Just
I'm much
the
rather
sound
drive
of
it. The sound of it's so good, and that shifter feels great. The driving aspect of that car feels great. This, to me, this is more daily drivable. That's how I would describe it, because it's quieter, and you can make it quieter, obviously, with these exhaust modes here. You can make it quieter, and it feels a little bit more comfortable. It doesn't feel as stiff as the Shelby does. But I think I'd still rush it.
Gotcha.
Much rather have the Shelby, so. Let's park them up.
All right. We've seen both of them. Which one are you taking home today?
What's the price?
$65,000. Which is pricey because knew they weren't, you know, too much higher than
Right,
this is.
right.
So they've kept their value, which is good as a used buyer because you know that it's going to continue to keep its value. So you want to take this one home today?
I like that one a lot, but I think after hearing this one and driving it, I think this is the one I want.
And though it is a 6-year-old car, it still looks great, still modern looking.
Yeah.
And like I said, the design of it, it's just timeless and it's so aggressive looking.
Yeah, no, I love the look of this car. Like I said, that one's a great looking car, drives very well too. I like the raw factor of this thing.
Absolutely.
The manual, the way it sounds, the way it drives, it feels so planted on the road. It's just, I think I'm taking this one.
Perfect. Well, if you guys like the video, make sure to hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more from us, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.